Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuran Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Tikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagnath Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Prijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagnath Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jigapate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Taptakan Chanagourangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Prati Vanshakapa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Okay. Looking at it's actually 46, 1146 through 12:1. We're going to look at the Bhagavad Gita as it is together, and we'll read these together. Irtinam Gadinam Chakrahastam Ichami Tvam Drashtum Aham Tataiva Tanaiva Rupena Chaturbhujena Sahasra Baho Bhava Vishvamurte. Translation. O Universal Lord, I wish to see Sanjaya Uvacha Ityarju Yamasabuya Ashvasaya Masachabitam Enam Bhutva Puna Saumya Vapur Mahatma. Translation. Sanjaya said to Dhritarashtra, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, while speaking thus to Arjuna, displayed his real four-armed form, and at last he showed him his two-armed form, thus encouraging the fearful Arjuna. Text 51. Arjuna uvacha Drishvedam manusham rupam tava saumyam janardana idanim asmi samvrita sacheta prakritim gataha. Translation: when Arjuna thus saw Krishna in his original form, he said, "Seeing this human-like form, so very beautiful, my mind is now pacified, and I am restored to Acham. Sudurdarsham idam rupam drishtavan asiyan mama deva apyasya rupasya nityam darshana kangshina." Translation: the Blessed Lord said, "My dear Arjuna, the form which you are now seeing is very difficult to behold. Even the demigods are ever seeking the opportunity to see this form which is so dear." Text 53. Naham vedar na tapasa na danena na chejaya shakya evam vidho drashtum drishtavan asimam yata. Translation: the form which you are seeing with your transcendental eyes cannot be understood simply by studying the Vedas, nor by undergoing serious penances, nor by charity, nor by worship. It is not by these means that one can see me as I am. Text 54. Bhaktya tvananyaya shakya aham evam vidho Arjuna nyatum drashtum cha tatvena praveshtum cha parantapa. Translation: my dear Arjuna, only by undivided devotional service can I be understood as I am, standing before you, and can thus be seen directly. Only in this way can you enter into the mysteries of my understanding. Text 55. Mat karma krin mat paramo mad bhakta sangha varjitaha nirvaira sarva bhuteshu yasamam eti pandava. Translation: my dear Arjuna, one who is engaged in my pure devotional service, free from the contaminations of previous activities and from mental speculation, who is friendly to every living entity, certainly comes to me. End of chapter 11, the universal form. And we'll do one verse from chapter 12, devotional service. Text 1. Aksharam avyaktam tesham ke yoga vitamaha. Translation: Arjuna inquired, which is considered to be more perfect, those who are properly engaged in your devotional service, or those who worship the impersonal Brahman, the unmanifested? Back to text 46. I'll read the translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, founder, Acharya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. O Universal Lord, I wish to see you in your four-armed form, with helmeted head and with club, wheel, conch, and lotus flower in your hands. I long to see you in that form. Purport. In the Brahma Samhita, it is stated that the Lord is eternally situated in hundreds and thousands of forms, and the main forms are those like Rama, Nrsimha, Narayan, etc. There are innumerable forms, but Arjuna knew that Krishna is the original personality of Godhead, assuming his temporary universal form. He is now asking to see the form of Narayan, a spiritual form. This verse establishes without any doubt the statement of the Srimad Bhagavatam that Krishna is the original personality of Godhead, and all other features originate from him. He is not different from his plenary expansions, and he is God in any of his innumerable forms. In all of these forms, he is fresh like a young man. That is the constant feature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One who knows Krishna at once becomes free from all contamination of the material world. So Arjuna has divine vision. He's being allowed to see this universal form, and only a devotee of Krishna is going to be allowed to see the universal form. Only a devotee of Krishna can see even his two-armed form properly. And so Arjuna is getting this vision. Shishi Gornitai Kijai. He's getting this vision, and he's got his eyes are anointed with the salve of love. Your eyes have to be anointed with the proper devotional love to see these things. And also the demigods are seeing these things. And Srila Prabhupada makes it clear that this particular universal form is it's unique. Arjuna is seeing a unique universal form. And it is different than the one that was shown to Duryodhana. This is one that does not have, this is one that has the time element and other things that make this a unique showing of the universal form. And then it quotes the Brahma Samhita. He quotes the Brahma Samhita. He says, in the Brahma Samhita, it is stated that the Lord is eternally situated in hundreds and thousands of forms, and the main forms are those like Rama, Nrsimha, Narayan. This verse is Brahma Samhita 539, and it's translated by Srila Prabhupada as, I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who manifested himself personally as Krishna and the different avatars in the world in the forms of Rama, Nrsimha, Vamana, etc., as his subjective portions. And he speaks of contamination. One who knows Krishna at once becomes free from all contamination of the material world. And there's a verse in Bhagavad Gita 6:28. Yunjan evam sadatmanam yogi vigata kalmasaha yukena brahma samsparsham atyantam sukham ashnute. And it reads, steady in the self, being freed from all material contamination, the yogi achieves the highest perfectional stage of happiness in touch with the supreme consciousness. Also, in these verses we just read, 1155 mentions contamination. Also, 1218. 1218 reads, one who is equal to friends and enemies, who is equiposed in honor and dishonor, heat and cold, happiness and distress, fame and infamy, who is always free from contamination, always silent and satisfied with anything, who doesn't care for any residence, who is fixed in knowledge and engaged in devotional service, is very dear to me. So who is always free from contamination. And Srila Prabhupada says, this verse establishes without any doubt the statement of the Srimad Bhagavatam that Krishna is the original personality of Godhead and all other features originate from him. So reading the verse again, the text, O universal Lord, I wish to see you in your four-armed form with helmeted head and with club, wheel, conch, and lotus flower in your hands. I long to see you in that form. So Srila Prabhupada is saying it's clear without any doubt, because he's saying, I want to see you, Krishna, in your four-armed form. He's not talking to the, it's obvious that Krishna, it originates with Krishna, and that these forms come from Krishna. In fact, everything comes from Krishna in this way. So Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead, the original supreme personality of Godhead, the only supreme personality of Godhead. And Svayam Krishnas tu Bhagavan. So that statement means that Krishna is the original supreme, Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. Everything comes from him. Everything is coming from him. You found the source. We always want to know the source of things. What is the source of the sunlight? What is the source of all the living entities I see around me? What is the source of all the materials I see around me? And Krishna is the source of all of that. He's the supreme proprietor. Everything is being owned by him. And that's why we should do everything for him, because these aren't our objects. These aren't our possessions. And these aren't even our bodies. If everything is owned by him, then we can't really say we even own these bodies. Aham Brahmasmi. I am spirit. I am Brahman. I am not the body. I am spirit soul. And so we can all say that. And in the chapter 2 of the Gita, Krishna, it's said that we are all eternally existing. He says that we are all living entities and that we have always been exist. He is also a living entity. He is also an individual. It is said that we are all individuals and that he is also an individual in the chapter 2. And he says that we are all existing in the past and in the present, and we will continue to exist in the future. So these are bodies. These are owned by Krishna. And that's why we should take really good care of them. And that's why when he says, if you offer me a fruit, a leaf, flower, some water with devotion, I will accept it. So we want to eat, we want to give the things that he wants, and we want to only take the things that he ordains and in the proper way. And when we take prasad, when we offer prasadam, a tulsi leaf is put on to offer, and that is the leaf. We interpret that as being the leaf that he mentions in that verse. And so Krishna, this verse establishes without any doubt, he says, and fresh like a young man. That is the constant feature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So all these forms are fresh like a young man. These forms aren't growing old the way that we are impacted by the time element. He is supreme time. And he even showed Arjuna that in this, and when he showed his universal form, and Arjuna said, "What? Who are you? What is this? I am time. Surrender unto me, and be an instrument of mine." And this Vishvarupa, this universal form. Going on to text 47 here. The Blessed Lord said, "My dear Arjuna, happily do I show you this universal form within the material world by my internal potency. No one before you has ever seen this unlimited and glaringly effulgent form." So no one else has seen this before. He's seen some things that even other people that have gotten the chance to see the universal form, they're not seeing exactly this universal form the way Arjuna is. And text 48, "O best of the Kuru warriors, no one before you has ever seen this universal form of mine, for neither by studying the Vedas, nor by performing sacrifices, nor by charities or similar activities can this form be seen. Only you have seen this." So only devotees have seen this, and not merely from studying the Vedas, jnana, nor Sankhya, neither by studying nor by just performing sacrifices. So someone might perform sacrifices and they may not know that Sri Krishna is the benefactor of all sacrifices, even if one is worshiping a demigod. The demigods are giving things to Krishna. So why not go straight to the source? All the demigods know that Krishna is supreme. And so not just by studying or just performing sacrifices, nor by charities. Some people think that some people are very charitable in the material world, and they're trying to give charity, but it has to be done with the right aim in mind. It has to be proper charity done with Krishna in mind and sanctioned by Krishna. And charity can be done for the wrong reasons. Similar activities. So just by going through the motions, we can't just go through the motions. We have to strive to be devotees, strive to be surrendered devotees of the Lord. And not just read a book, but try to get the essence out of it. Try to, try to really get the substance, try to get the juice out of it. Not just to say, I read this book and I read this book, but really to get the essence of it, to really hang on to something, to really value your time and to make use of your time, and trying to do things right the first time and things like that. Text 49, your mind has been perturbed upon seeing this horrible feature of mine. Now let it be finished. My devotee, be free from all disturbance. With a peaceful mind, you can now see the form you desire. Your mind has been perturbed upon seeing this horrible feature of mine. Now let it be finished. My devotee, be free from all disturbance. With a peaceful mind, you can now see the form you desire. So he mentions Bhishma is going to be about, Arjuna is worried about killing Bhishma and Drona, and Bhishma has had a nice life. He made the horrible vow to be celibate. As called the horrible vow, Bhishma means that, and he sacrificed his celibacy at a very young age. But even with all of his pious acts over his whole life, the act of not doing anything when they were trying to disrobe Draupadi in the assembly, by standing idly by, that was enough to sanction his killing in this war. He's on the wrong side of things. He's not speaking up when he knows he should, and so even that is sanctioning him to being on the wrong side of the battle, and by taking so many arrows. And so that just goes to show that we have to, no matter how many pious acts we've tried to undergo, and no matter how devoted we've tried to be every day, we have to stand up for righteous. We have to stand up for the innocent. We have to stand up when we see some harm being done to someone, or some horrible thing like that. The disrobing of Draupadi in the assembly Bhishma should have stood up, and he should have stopped it. He could have tried to stop it, but he sat by. So inaction can be a fairly grave sin. We have to remember that. Text 50, Sanjaya said to Dhritarashtra, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, while speaking thus to Arjuna, displayed his real four-armed form, and at last he showed him his two-armed form, thus encouraging the fearful Arjuna. There's a plate that applies to this a little bit. Plate 32, towards the front here. Here's plate 32. At last, Krishna showed Arjuna his two-armed form. So you can see Narayan transitioning into Krishna. Krishna, the Supreme Truth, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is now showing his two-armed form, his two-handed form, which is the most lovable form the devotees. And speaking of the universal form, there's no reciprocation. Devotees love the two-armed form of Krishna because there's so much reciprocation and in so many different ways. And the universal form cannot reciprocate the devotee's love. And so this two-armed form is of most importance and most beauty. And Shama Sundar, which means beautiful blackish, most beautiful blackish or kind of sky blue color. Sham meaning blackish or sky blue, and Sundar meaning beautiful. So Arjuna is bowing down and saying, "Oh, I'm glad I'm glad some of that is behind us now. That was a little scary, but quite wonderful. And he asked to see the universal form because it's, it's one of the things God can do. God can show his universal form. And if someone can't show his universal form, then it's not God. And even Lord Chaitanya showed, Lord Chaitanya is also the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he showed the universal form. And he showed the universal form as well. Text 50, Sanjaya said to Dhritarashtra, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, while speaking thus to Arjuna, displayed his real four-armed form, and at last he showed him his two-armed form, thus encouraging the fearful Arjuna. It says ointment of love, the ointment of love in the purport from Srila Prabhupada's book, Teachings of Lord Kapila. If we are devotees, lovers of God, the ointment of love will clear our eyes. In order to see God, we have to cleanse our eyes by wiping away the cataracts of material contamination. Although we may be eager to see God, we cannot see him with these material eyes. So we're trying to wipe away the cataracts of material contamination. Also from Srila Prabhupada's book, Quest for Enlightenment, we have to purify our eyes so we can see God within. And that purification is possible when we apply the ointment of love of God to our eyes daily. A doctor may prescribe that we apply some ointment to improve our eyesight. Similarly, you will see God when your vision is clarified by premanjana, the ointment of love of God. So that ointment of love of God is called premanjana, premanjana. And we have to apply it daily to remove those cataracts of material contamination. Text 51. When Arjuna thus saw Krishna in his original form, he said, seeing this human-like form, so very beautiful, my mind is now pacified, and I am restored to my original nature. Janardana. Janardana is defined as chastiser. Here, Janardana is defined as, chastiser of the enemies. That's a name for Krishna, meaning chastiser of the enemies. It's also been defined by Srila Prabhupada as maintainer of all living entities. Also, killer of the atheists. So Janardana, he's the chastiser of the enemies, and he's also the maintainer of all living entities. Purport. Here the words Manusham Rupam clearly indicate the Supreme Personality of Godhead to be originally two-handed. Those who deride Krishna to be an ordinary person are shown here to be ignorant of his divine nature. If Krishna is like an ordinary human being, then how is it possible for him to show the universal form and again to show the four-handed Narayan form? So it is very clearly stated in Bhagavad Gita that one who thinks that Krishna is an ordinary person and misguides the reader by claiming that it is the impersonal Brahman within Krishna speaking is doing the greatest injustice. Krishna has actually shown his universal form and its four-handed Vishnu form. So how can he be an ordinary human being? A pure devotee is not confused by misguiding commentaries on Bhagavad Gita because he knows what is what. The original verses of Bhagavad Gita are as clear as the sun. They do not require lamplight from foolish commentators. So the original form of Krishna is the two-armed form. And some people might claim that the impersonal Brahman, that it's the impersonal Brahman within Krishna speaking. And Srila Prabhupada says that's the greatest injustice. So this Brahma Jyoti, this impersonal Brahman, this is underneath Krishna. This is not the highest thing, and devotees don't want to merge into the impersonal Brahman. There's this kind of two schools. There's the personal and the impersonal. And the personal is being shown and is known to be far superior than some impersonal worship, impersonal Brahman. It's far superior. And so it's the jewel, it's the diamond. And just like the Krishna beautifies the things that are on him, and when Krishna wears a necklace, it's not that the necklace is beautifying Krishna. Krishna is beautifying the necklace, and he's beautifying the garlands that he's wearing. And some of us get a chance to try to prepare some garlands for Shishi Gaur Nitai, and we're sometimes amazed at how we may not feel so good about our garlands sometimes, but then we get that proof by seeing them wear the garlands. Is absolutely true that he beautifies the garlands. There's something special and mystical, very special and mystical about how Krishna beautifies everything like that. 52. I'm just going to read the last couple sentences of this purport. The Blessed Lord said, "My dear Arjuna, the form which you are now seeing is very difficult to behold. Even the demigods are ever seeking the opportunity to see this form which is so dear." So this is not easily seen even by the elevated demigods. And so seeing this form is very special, and we want to go back home to Godhead. And someone might ask, well, why, if it's my home, why can't I just go back whenever I want? Why can't I just live there? And I was thinking about it a little bit today, and it's like if we moved out of our home, we moved out of our family's home when we were younger, and it's our home. It will always be our home, but it's also not our home. When you decide to move out, it's no longer, quote, your home. It is your home, but it also isn't your home. And so once you move out, you have to, if you wanted to live there, you would have to do the right things. You would have to ask very nicely, and you would have to appeal to them and things like that. So there's a proper process of going back home and making that your home again. And we're going through that process over this lifetime. We're asking, and we're saying we want to go back home, like a salmon always returns back to where it started. It even swims upstream. It's very hard for the salmon to get back to its home, but it goes through many hardships, and it goes back home. So we're in this lifetime, we're trying to say we want to go back home. We want to get rid of this birth, old age, disease, and death. It's not so nice. All this duality, it's not so nice. So can we come back home, and can I learn how to serve, and can I pass on this knowledge? If you think I'm capable, can I try to pass on this knowledge? Can I be an instrument of yours? Can I just be an instrument? And can I try to get myself out of the way? And can I please come home? I want to serve. I want, from this day on, Krishna, I'm yours, and things like that. So that has to be our attitude from the moment we wake up till the moment we go to bed, and even in our sleep, we're trying to not get lost in illusion or darkness or illusion or rajas, tamas, passion, and ignorance. 53. The form which you are seeing with your transcendental eyes cannot be understood simply by studying the Vedas, nor by undergoing serious penances, nor by charity, nor by worship. It is not by these means that one can see me as I am. So it's not just a study. This is very difficult for scholars to understand Srila Prabhupada says, Krishna is not easy to understand for a scholar. Nor is he to be understood by persons who officially go to the temple to offer worship. They make their visit, but they cannot understand Krishna as he is. Krishna can be understood only through the path of devotional service, as explained by Krishna himself in the next verse. So we have to dig very deep, just the way, we used to maybe watch a movie occasionally, or you can even read a book. There's deeper levels. There's ways to, some people are watching a movie on an airplane and they're just seeing a few scenes and not really paying attention. But there's someone that is really digging deeply and they're really studying. They're trying to understand it and they're trying to enjoy it and they're trying to make it their whole life. And we obviously don't want to make a mundane movie our whole life the way that we used to maybe get obsessed with a movie. But it's the point is, we can't, it's not cursory. We want to go deep into love and devotion, and how deep can we go in understanding Krishna's teachings. And we want to understand things from different aspects, the way Srila Prabhupada teaches us and the way the spiritual master teaches us. So we want to understand on a deep level. 54. My dear Arjuna, only by undivided devotional service can I be understood as I am, standing before you, and can thus be seen directly. Only in this way can you enter into the mysteries of my understanding. So enter into mysteries. I was going to read just a little bit of this purport. One who has unflinching, page 568, one who has unflinching devotion for the Supreme Lord and is directed by the spiritual master can see the Supreme Personality of Godhead by revelation. For one who does not take personal training under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master, it is impossible to even begin to understand Krishna. The word "to" is specifically used here to indicate that no other process can be recommended, or can be successful in understanding Krishna. So there's a verse, Tadvidhi pranipatena pariprasnena sevya upadekshanti te ganam ganinas tattvadarshinaha. Just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master. Render service unto him and inquire from him submissively. The self-realized soul can impart knowledge unto you because he has seen the truth. Also, at the end of the purport, he says, the universal form with its thousands and thousands of heads and hands is manifest just to draw the attention of those who have no love for God. It is not God's original form. So this is drawing the attention of those who have no love of God. The original is Krishna's form. And this word that is used, let me find it here. Praveshtum, and to enter into. It's used in the sense of like entering a city. When we enter a city, we don't become the city. So when he says, only in this, he says, my dear Arjuna, only by undivided devotional service can I be understood as I am, standing before you, and can thus be seen directly. Only in this way can you enter into the mysteries of my understanding. So it's not that you become one with, or you just kind of, you can, but it is wonderful to think about entering the mysteries of his understanding. Just a glimpse is very wonderful. 55, text 55. My dear Arjuna, one who is engaged in my pure devotional service, free from the contaminations of previous activities and from mental speculation, who is friendly to every living entity, certainly comes to me. So there's 5 instructions on how to render pure devotional service here. Being engaged in his pure devotional service, free from the contaminations of previous activities and from mental speculation, and who is friendly to every living entity. So the 5 things are basically: bhakti must be performed purely, and that pure association leads to pure devotion, and work must be for Sri Krishna. Krishna must be the goal of life, and we must be friendly to all, friendly to every living entity. Isn't that nice? That's nice to read. And I think that's a nice thing to strive for, to be friendly towards every living entity, not just neutral and not angry, but actually friendly. And that's something we're striving for, is to bring out that friendly nature. Sometimes it's hard when we go out in the material world and we try to distribute a book, and sometimes people are not so friendly to us, but does that mean we have to be exactly like they are to us? No. No, Krishna wants us to be friendly, and he says, you can come to me. So being friendly is a part of it, and it's something we're striving towards. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, also going back to earlier, he showed his universal form at the home of Srivasa Thakur. And there's a thought here about prioritizing our days and our lives. And there's an analogy of a suitcase. You know, sometimes we have a lot of big things and small things that we want and know we should do, and so we have a lot of things on our list, but we should prioritize that list. So chanting our rounds and attending the temple, these are priorities. These are the big things. They say if you when you're packing a suitcase, you put the big things in first, and then it's very easy to fit the small things in around it. But if you put all the small things in first, it can take up a lot of room, and maybe those big things aren't going to fit in there. So we're prioritizing chanting and different things. Make sure you have the big things in first, and then know what the big things are and what the small things are. And that's prioritization. And he's teaching us how to prioritize. And from the purport, he says, no work should be done by any man except in relationship to Krishna. This is called Krishna karma. One may be engaged in various activities, but one should not be attached to the result of his work. But the result should be done for him. The result should be done for him. And the last paragraph of the purport, and this is a summary of the whole chapter. In summary, the universal form of Krishna, which is a temporary manifestation, and the form of time, which devours everything, and even the form of Vishnu, four-handed, have all been exhibited by Krishna. Thus, Krishna is the origin of all these manifestations. It is not that Krishna is a manifestation of the original Vishvarupa or Vishnu. Krishna is the origin of all forms. There are hundreds and thousands of Vishnus, but for a devotee, no form of Krishna is important but the original form, two-handed Shyamasundar. In the Brahma Samhita, it is stated that those who are attached to the Shyamasundar form of Krishna in love and devotion can see him always within the heart and cannot see anything else. One should understand, therefore, that the purport of this 11th chapter is that the form of Krishna is essential and supreme. Going on to text, chapter 12, text 1 from the purport. Arjuna asked in the translation, which is considered to be more perfect, those who are properly engaged in your devotional service or those who worship the impersonal Brahman, the unmanifested? And in the purport, it is said, in other words, he is clarifying his own position because he is attached to the personal form of Krishna. He is not attached to the, speaking of Arjuna here, he's not attached to the impersonal Brahman. He wants to know whether his position is secure. The impersonal manifestation, either in this material world or in the spiritual world of the Supreme Lord, is a problem for meditation. It's a great sense there. This impersonal manifestation, either either in the material world or in the spiritual world of the Supreme Lord, is a problem for meditation. Actually, one cannot perfectly conceive of the impersonal feature of the absolute truth. Therefore, Arjuna wants to say, what is the use of such a waste of time? Arjuna experienced in the 11th chapter that to be attached to the personal form of Krishna is best because he could thus understand all other forms at the same time, and there was no disturbance to his love for Krishna. So one cannot even perfectly conceive of the impersonal feature of the absolute truth or Brahma Jyoti or Brahman. So one cannot perfectly conceive of this. So some really nice verses and purports here. Does anyone have a nice comment or question to kind of something? Yes, Jai Keshava, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. So I was thinking of how someone might be confused, or I mean, there are people out there who are confused about what the Bhagavad Gita is telling us, saying that Krishna is the unborn with, what does he say exactly? The unborn within or something like that. You should surrender to the unborn within. Oh. It's like a common thing. So I was thinking about this, and then, Krishna is telling himself who he is, and in 4:6, he's saying that although I'm unborn and my transcendental body never deteriorates, and although I'm the Lord of all sentient beings, I still every millennium in my original transcendental form. So he's telling us, he over and over again who he is. And so it leaves, not much confusion. I think anyway, at least how Srila Prabhupada's presenting it. But some might not accept Srila Prabhupada's version, which is the version of all the acharyas before him. So I have another question too. I was talking with a devotee, and this devotee likes to maybe like pray to the sun, and like seeing that the sun is Krishna, like see, and so wouldn't someone just want to chant Hare Krishna, or like, is there a place for that exactly? Is that a
Doesn't matter. Krishna says it doesn't matter. Physical location is not of importance when it comes to the spiritual master, is it? So that's nice to remember too. So thank you for those wonderful comments. And we have a comment or question from Radhastali. Mataji?
Hare Krishna. I was wondering, you said that the Lord reveals his universal form to Arjuna, but also through Lord Chaitanya, he revealed his universal form. Can you share the story of how Lord Chaitanya revealed his universal form?
It's at the home of Srivas Thakur. If someone else wants to go into detail, I would have to, just to get it exactly right, I'd want to look at it a little bit more. But if someone wants to share that, but I know there's a picture in the beginning of one of the books, one of the plates in the Chaitanya Charitamrita has that in it. And but I default to someone that might have more insight. But if not, is there any other questions or comments?
I like how you began with talking about how only a devotee of Krishna
can
see, can truly see Krishna as he is, and could see that this universal form of the Lord, but understand that his real form is, just like Arjuna is asking for, is his two-armed form. Well, he asked for his four-armed form, but that's still the Krishna. Well, I guess I'm confused about that. He asked for his four-armed form, but his real form is a two-armed form, isn't it?
Yeah, it's we could go read the purport on that, but I think he just wishes to see it. And when he's frightened by the universal form, he's so disturbed. And I think it's a matter of he wants to see these things. He has some questions in his mind, and he's getting these questions resolved, and he's proving to himself and to us his supremacy, Sri Krishna's supremacy. And he's also proving that all these forms come from Krishna. It's becoming clear that Narayan comes from Krishna, Vishnu comes from Krishna, the universal form comes from Krishna, everything around us comes from Krishna. So it's so wonderful to get that clarity that he's giving us through Bhagavad Gita. And so this is the eternal knowledge, Raja Vijayarajaguyam Pavitram Idam Uttamam Patkashavavgamam Dharmyam Susukum Kartam Aviyam. This knowledge is the king of education, the most secret of secrets. And it is the clearest knowledge, and it gives direct perception of the self. And so it is called the perfection of religion. It is everlasting and joyfully performed. So thank you all so much for being here. Shri Bhagavad Gita as it is, Ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada.